Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift is going off. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGudRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to rounds 14 and 15 in Season 5 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We're here at the legendary, the colossal Road America, and this is going to be one of the most exciting nights in the championship, I can tell you that. We're getting towards the sharp end of the season now, right to crunch time, and this circuit promotes a lot of great racing with GT3 cars, lots of potential fuel saving and slipstreaming coming our way as well, but a lot of heavy braking zones and overtaking opportunities as well. My name's Chaz Draycott, and I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary box by the wonderful Ed May once again. Ed, we've had another fantastic season so far. Only this and 2 more race meetings left to go now. It's flown by in the blink of an eye, hasn't it?
It really has done, and like you say, we're into the real business end where the drivers are going to be going at it hammer and tongs. No time to think about the bigger picture. It is about the here and now. Drivers will be giving it absolutely everything in these 2 races here tonight to try and give themselves the best chance into the final 2 race meetings. It's been a really great championship so far, though, hasn't it, Chas? We've had some wonderful moments, some excellent races, and I think here tonight these 2 sprints are going to be something to really enjoy as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a very, very spicy night of racing, this. I can tell you that for free. This is how the championship looks then, coming here for rounds 14 and 15. Luke Lucchese on great form at the minute, with a bunch of podiums to his name this season. He currently leads the championship. Tristan Dinabrega has 4 podiums from the last 4 races, though, and even Ryan Ottens has a couple, including a race win to his name. He is 3rd. We've got Troy Dolenchek down in 4th place. He's missed a couple of rounds recently, unfortunately, and by the look of it, he's not here with us this evening either. I believe he's got school commitments elsewhere, so it's a shame not to have Troy around, but still, you can see just how good he is with the fact that he's still 4th in the championship, ahead of the likes of Jean Breitenbach, Luke King, Christopher Radloff, Joe Glass, Matt Hoyland and Gianni Terhar, who rounds out the top 10 in the elite class. And just around the corner with the Premier class is Ed May.
Thank you very much. Yes, and leading the Premier class is, of course, still Joe Sparrow. He wasn't there last time out at Imola, but continues to hold firm his lead in the championship thanks to a poor result from his teammate and championship rival, Stephen Donnelly. Stephen finishing 9th last time out at Imola sees him stay 2nd. Atti Nagel has closed down that gap, got himself inside the top 3 with a podium finish. He's got Marcel Breitenbach not too far behind him. Nick Stoop just 1 point back from Marcel. He's currently sitting in 5th place. Nick's been a real revelation, actually, and coming off the back of the Premier Class victory. It's a driver in fine form and looking for more here tonight. Matthew Jones there, just outside the podium, but still only 4 points shy of that top 5. Then we've got Russell Jakes only 4 points shy of Matthew Jones. It's very close for the drivers trying to chase down those that top 5 spot. Then we come to Robin Aston, Hussein Sarah Cardesla and Rob Mackay rounding out the top 10 in the Premier class.
Thank you very much, Ed. And over in the Evo class, it's all changed as Martin Kenyon heads to the top of the table. 487 points to him. He and Archie Craven have really been going at it hammer and tongs, as Ed said earlier, with this championship at the moment. They've been the drivers really in form. Dennis Koller had a podium last time out, but that's not what he would have wanted. And it was early championship leader Malo TA that took a bunch of victories early on. Hasn't really had a run of form, and he's missed a few rounds as well. Gareth Newton is 5th at the moment, with Danny Weir in 6th. He's also had a few podiums recently. Following him is James Howarth, Francois Brandet, Graham Matthew in his Lamborghini, and Robin Noel Brown, who had a race victory recently in class, but he will be wanting more from the remaining rounds of the season. But it's not just the Drivers' Championship to think about. We've got the teams as well, and it's RDSA Esports that lead that with 1,815 points. Second place at the moment is the JSD Racing team of Stephen Donnelly, Joe Shapara and Joseph Preston. They're just ahead of the likes of Alpha One Esports, Glastech, DXT, and of course the Suma GP2 Lamborghini squad. It's very, very close though all the way through the pack, isn't it, Ed, with the rest of the teams all piling in behind. So many points on the board.
Yeah, I was actually having a look at the standings just after Imola compared to the standings just from Mugello earlier on in the season, and there haven't really been massive changes in the team's championship, but they're all ever so close. It is finely poised, and it does bring forth for a very exciting conclusion to the season. We also, though, do take into account the incidents, don't we, that the drivers are getting. There's basically prizes for the drivers in each class. I think the top 5 in each class to keep it the cleanest over the course of the races, basically based off of their sort of incidents per race. At the moment, you can see that the top 5 in the elite class is John Breitenbach, Joe Glass, Tristan Dinabrega, Luke Lucchese and Ian Cable. It's the Premier Incident Rating sees Robin Aston, Matthew Jones, Atti Nagel, Jean Lodbrok and Wesley Van Rens all on course to receive that $15 iRacing voucher. And then the Evo Incident Rating sees Martin Kenyon out of Malo TA, Dennis Koller, Gareth Newton and Owen Seward all there in with a shot.
It's very, very close, no matter what part of the championship we're looking at, to be honest with you. It's really, really cool, the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. It's great to be a part of it. And thanks also to the championship sponsors, Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs. And of course all the series admins as well that have us here at Chaz Draycott Media with what we do. We're just looking at Jean McLuhan. It's his home round of the championship, one of a couple of American races this season in this beautiful Stars and Stripes machine that he's going to be racing tonight. Jean Breitenbach has been trying to practice where he's hiding at the end of qualifying during this practice session. He's been spotted by a few drivers over the course of practice, and they've screenshotted where he's been and where he's trying to hide, so we'll keep an eye out for him at the end of quali. But once again, Ed, we've got some of the Evo class drivers right up there at the sharp end. Martin Kenyon was 4th fastest overall in that practice session. It's remarkable.
He is just, something's lit a fire up his backside in this sort of second half of the season. He's been so impressive, hasn't he, all throughout this closing stage of the season, really stamping his authority, not just on his own class, but just on the field as a whole. It's obviously just a case of him being very hungry to get the best that he can, and we did see actually a very, very strong performance from him at Imola, where he, of course, got that race victory. Even though there was a little wobble towards the end, he had such a lead over Archie Craven that it was never really in doubt.
No, definitely. He's really been putting the effort in, and this is the thing. A lot of the drivers have been practicing as hard as they can and improving time and time again. It's the sort of story that we love to see. You know, we saw Archie Craven when he started in the series. He was having a bit of a tough time with this Audi R8, but as of late, he's been on fire and really one of the drivers in form in the Evo class. It's been lovely to see the R8 putting in the work as well, right up there at the top. We wait to see now the first lap times come through on the board. There's going to be a bit of time before we see any times initially show on the left-hand side. But you can bet that Road America is going to be one of the most exciting rounds of the championship because of the amount of slipstreaming they do. And I really like this section here around the carousel. It's a nightmare of a corner. We are going to see people lose the back end of these GT3 cars around here with all the adjustments on the throttle and on the brakes. But it's only really when you see that curb on the exit that you really know what you're doing with the car, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it's, again, just a wonderful circuit for racing as well. It's a circuit that's very different to what we had last time at Imola in terms of not just sort of characteristics, but also the width of the circuit. It's a lot wider. Being an American circuit, the cars that they drive tend to be just bigger naturally in terms of the sort of series. The Indy cars, they have a surprisingly quite wide, as well as the I think NASCARs actually have a round here as well, and they're pretty hefty, as well as obviously the IMSA Sports Car Championship, trying to get as many of their cars around here as possible. It does obviously lend itself to some excellent racing as well. So obviously just the characteristics, this long start-finish straight in towards turn 1. And then actually I think coming in towards turn 3 as well is where we're going to see a lot of the action, because there's another long straight going into that tight left-hander.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Luke Lucchese just there now actually on our screens, heading into the heavy braking zone. There's usually a lot of drama on the exit of this corner as well as they head out through this left-hander up the hill. Drivers often having a bit of a slide, a bit of a move around, all sort of shuffling to try and get it all fixed. As Gareth Newton has gone off and into the wall. I think he's just going to overdo it through the left-hander here. This is something that's really easy to do because you go over a crest, don't you, Ed? So the rear of the car becomes light. And if you clip the grass on the left or even on the right, it's always going to be a big hit like that.
Yeah, they hit into the barriers, but should be able to get back out there. Get some action underway. Yeah, waiting for the drivers basically just to get their first lap around the circuit underway, and usually it takes a couple laps to get up to pace. I think here, just from the nature of how long the lap is, might be able to get it down in just the one. The line obviously taking a very wide entry into this left-hander. You don't really get penalised too much for using all of the circuit around there. As long as you're keeping a couple of wheels on the red and yellow curb, you're kind of alright.
Yeah, it's an interesting one where drivers have to learn where the limit is and try and open up the corner as much as possible. There's been a few circuits where we've seen certain corners where drivers have worked very hard to make sure that he nail the track limits down to the pixel. We look here at Hussein Sarakadesla, car 108, the Suma GP2 Lamborghini, great sounding racing machine. Interesting as well, we haven't really mentioned it, but the McLaren 720S GT3 will finally be coming to iRacing in the next update in a few weeks' time, which is great to see. It's about 7 years too late, but it's still on its way. I'm not even sure if it's the Evo version, I really hope it is. But obviously we have a new GT4 car coming as well, which is the M4 GT4, the latest version of it anyway. John Breitenbach, the first car to put a time on the board, and more of them will now pour in. Ludbrook goes fastest in the Premier class, Donnelly behind him, and then Jeffrey Darman goes fastest in the Evo class, but with the only time on there. Then he's ahead of Danny Weir and Owen Seward. Owen has moved over to the DXT Cyan team now, so he's got a new livery on the car from this round onwards. Lovely looking machine as well, the DXT Cyan car. But it's Matt Hoyland fastest at the moment in the Lamborghini. Not expecting the Lambo to be the strongest car around here, but it is quite slippery in a straight line, isn't it, Ed? I think you're muted again, Ed.
Sorry, yeah, I was just about to say, I'm taken aback every time by how wide they go in towards this left hand. They really do seem to just almost like they're turning right into a left-hander. It takes you out a little bit, but then you think, oh no, they are just really trying to sweep through. Again, a couple wheels off us there as we now switch over to Tristan Dinabrega. They're on the circuit, just really chucking it into Canada Corner, and this is one where you need to be really on it. Up through the crest here, the car gets very light as you're sort of hitting your way onto the exit. They've just finally balanced, but even with all the weight towards the rear of the Porsche, it does seem to be sticking to the track like glue.
It's amazing how stable this car is considering the engine configuration. It's absolutely remarkable. Skating its way now down the start-finish straight. Luke Lucchese is looking quick. I think that's going to be a very quick time, and it is great from Dinabrega, even greater from Lucchese. 7 tenths ahead of Matt Hoyland, 3 tenths, give or take, ahead of Tristan Dinabrega. James Bostock, series admin, is currently top of the Premier class in the Suma GP2 Porsche. He's ahead of Rob Mackay and Scott Kostrick, then Nick Stubb and Matthew Jones. All the Premier drivers all close together in the middle of the field. Where's Martin Kenyon at this time of night? He's actually making his way around the final corner just behind this man, Archie Craven. Going to look at Archie because he's going to cross the line first to complete a lap. Donnelly goes second fastest in Premier by just 9 thousandths of a second. Does Archie Craven get the top spot in Evo?
Doesn't set a lap time.
No.
He must have invalidated it. Martin Kenyon, though, look at his pace. Whoa,
Wow.
right up there. 6th fastest overall, ahead of all of the Premier class drivers. That's why on our left-hand side, the graphic has basically jumped Evo above Premier, is because purely Martin Kenyon's pace.
Yeah, he's absolutely on it, isn't he? Really is on it. It's just
He's
amazing.
only going to get quicker as well because his tyres aren't quite up to temp. That's a really strong lap.
It's terrifying almost. John Ludbrook in the Ludbrook Racing Porsche has just had a bit of a spin. He's going to try and get that recovered and back around. Jean McLuhan is currently 4th fastest ahead of Luke King, who's 5th in the Elite class. Sounds like Luke is just having a bit of a downtime lap in between. Sometimes you see this in truck racing actually, where the drivers will do a fast lap, they'll then have a slow lap and then wind up to another quick one just to get everything back to temperature, back where they wanted it, and then wind the car up to full pace for another go.
Yeah. Who's not having a calm lap though is Luke Lucchese. He's really caning this thing around there. 2 purple sectors, couple sectors where he hasn't improved. But that middle sector was quicker than his lap round there, but he's got so many sort of fastest sectors around here. But Luke Lucchese actually comes into the pits, so he was caning it around, but decides to abandon the lap that he's on. But we'll stick with Paul Cowdershaw, who needs to improve. Currently 14th overall, 9th in class.
Sorry. I meant to
right.
hover over
Moving
Lucchese,
around.
but then I clicked on him by accident. Sorry.
Moving around, but here we go. Paul Cowdershaw now just coming through the final corner. Needs to really nail the exit. A little bit hesitant on the way into the corner. On the exit, it looked nice and finely balanced. A little bit twitchy, but that's just the Lamborghini for you. If you're not getting the rear end a little bit unhappy, then you're not driving the car to the limit. Over the line now for Paul Cowdershaw. What time will it be? Any sort of improvement coming through? I think it's maybe an improvement to the time, but not to the position. He is staying 15th overall. 9th in class. Archie Craven over the line and goes ahead of Martin Kenyon, but only by 14 thousandths of a second. Martin, though, over the line. Could he improve? No, in fact, I think he may have had a mistake and definitely backed out of that one before getting started on his next time around. So we'll see what Martin can do this next lap.
Well, 2:05.9, definitely not on the pace there for Martin. Here is Marcel Breitenbach, currently fastest in the Premier class, and he extends that advantage as well at 2:04.441. So the Audis topping 2 of the classes at the moment, which is great to see. But it's Luke Lucchese, Tristan Dinabrega and Ryan Otton's the top 3 overall at the moment. Where is our Premier class leader? Joe Chapara, he is the championship leader anyway. 6th at the moment, 6 tenths of a second off the top spot. But it's his race results, isn't it, that's always been the one. He's not always been on pole. He's just managed to make it work in the race, hasn't he? Either with strategy or just very calm, cool, collected overtaking.
Yeah, although Stephen Donnelly, his rival in the championship, is currently 4th in class, 15th overall. So Stephen is going to be making some ground on Joe, and Joe needs to do a little bit better than that in towards turn 3 if he's to try and improve very fun stuff. Actually, he's gone into the pits, and not sure if he'll be able to actually improve, because his next lap, if he does go out, he'll be on fresh tyres and it won't be in the right temperature window. So, by the looks of things, Joe Sparrow is going to be basically hoping that he won't start any lower down than 6th in his class, as Nick Stoops just up ahead of him. His teammate Stephen Donnelly still out there, could look to improve. Just coming to the end of a lap as big hit into the barrier there by Peter Black. Just a mistake, I think, as that through Canada corner.
Yes, indeed. I was just going to say about having the Corvette and the Mustang on circuit. Obviously, 2 very American cars out there tonight. Only 2 of them in the field, 1 of each. But Ashley Brooks hasn't got a valid time on the board yet. Neither has Dennis Collar, and neither has Christopher Radloff, and he's on his final lap. I give benefit of the doubt to Ashley because this is his first flying lap, actually. He's taken a bit of time to get out of the pits and onto the circuit. But this is Christopher Radloff's final chance to set a valid lap time. Otherwise, he's going to be starting from right near the back of the grid, because it doesn't separate by class. They literally just separate it by overall position.
Wide of the apex there through the left-hander coming up underneath the bridge. He's just struggling, I think, to get a lap together, and he's been a bit too conservative, maybe not hitting that rhythm. He's just hoping for any time now, not just a quick one, just anything to get himself off of the back row of the grid. Not the qualifying that he was hoping for, as Archie Craven calls it a day for qualifying. Martin Kenyon's still out there. He's sitting just behind Archie. It's so close, isn't it, in that Evo class, in the championship, as well as just between these 2 drivers out on circuit. Luke Lucchese improving all the time as well. He's currently holding on to pole position overall and leading the elite class. But we are going to focus, I think, on Christopher Radloff, because this is so important for his race if he can get this lap just under control.
It's great to see the Porsche skating its way around. Love this thing. It makes a fantastic racket, doesn't it? Around the final corner he goes. Up over the top of the hill. And is Christopher Radloff going to be able to put a time on the board? It certainly looks like he's still confident in it, so he knows that it's a valid time. Across the line he goes for his only fast lap, and it is good enough for, 11th fastest. He's 23rd overall, is Christopher Radloff, so definitely struggling somewhere. Just didn't seem like he had the car underneath him.
No, he didn't, as Luke Casey does go faster, continues on his fine run of form to basically secure pole position, unless Luke King or Tristan de Nobrega have anything to say about it. De Nobrega's coming over the line, has 1 purple sector, but I don't think that's going to be enough to... Yeah, he's going to be settling for 2nd best, unless Luke King will be able to get him onto the front row. But no massive improvements from Luke. He's going to probably be staying in 6th place as well, which he does. Closing stages of qualifying. Jean Breitenbach has done all 4 of his laps and is just basically going around now for a little bit more practice time. Ashley Brooks, though, improvements all across the board. Open for something good as he breaks the beam and goes from 10th up to 8th in class.
Makes a little bit of a move. Paul Cowlishaw is going to be next across the line. Then it's Jean Breitenbach. He's actually, he's finding his spot to hide. He's going to go behind this barrier, I think. And then he's going to go and climb up the hill. He was doing this during practice earlier. Will be his eyes and ears. Make sure you don't... So if you touch that lighter bit of grass there, you're going to fall through the earth. See the bit on the right there? It's like a black void. Oh, it's like a black hole, I should say. Yeah, he's going to now go and hide up here. He was doing this earlier. It's always entertaining with Jean. He's about a minute off the pace according to this lap at the moment. He's going to park it on the hill up there, and look, he's just hiding behind the, the marshal's post.
Speaking out.
It's fantastic. Good entertainment, though. There's good banter and fantastic atmosphere in this championship. And that sort of embodies just part of the fun of it, I suppose. Jean Breitenbach just hiding his Porsche on the start-finish straight. I think the best one was at Misano when he hid inside the fire truck. That was pretty amazing, to be honest with you.
Quite funny. He did give basically the fire truck a very interesting rear spoiler, which was
yes.
quite funny to look at. As Dennis Corler He's not going to hope for any funny business as he makes his way round into the final corner. He might just have enough time to complete this lap, obviously because it's a heat race. When the clock ticks over,
I don't think he will.
He's going to be very close if he is able to make it. And he's just going to run out of time.
Did he do it though?
I don't think he did. No, there's no time that came through for him. He's staying last, unfortunately, for Dennis Koller. He starts from the back of the grid.
That is devastating stuff for Dennis. Absolutely devastating. So close. But we now look at the grid for round 14 of the championship. We have a long, old rolling start here as well, so we're not in any particular rush to get through this one. But it's Luke Lucchese on pole position, the championship leader, by 0.4 of a second over his teammate Tristan Dinnerbrega. Ryan Ottens and Matt Hoyland make up the second row of the grid. Jean McLuhan is next, only 0.03 of a second ahead of Luke King. And then would you look at that, two Evo drivers on row 4, Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon. Marcel Breitenbach is head of the Premier class. He's in 9th overall. He's ahead of Jean Breitenbach, actually, sharing the grid there. They've got Peter Black in 11th in the Mustang, and he is ahead of Paul Cowlishaw on the 6th row of the grid. Behind them, two Premier drivers, James Bostock and Atti Nagel. Then we have Joe Glass from the Elite class alongside Nick Stubb. And then it's Stephen Donnelly and Joe Sparrow, the JSD Racing team, completing the 9th row. Rob Mackay and Scott Kostrick complete the top 20 cars, with Hussein Sarakadesla and Matthew Jones on row 11. Christopher Radloff is 23rd. And then 3rd in class is James Howarth in the Evo class. He's 24th, with Martin Kenyon, his next rival, in 8th place outright. It's crazy. Next up is Gareth Newton, with John Ludbrook alongside him. Then it's Joseph Preston and Jeffrey Darman completing row 14. Completing the 15th row is Danny Weir alongside Ashley Brooks in the Corvette. Then it's Owen Seward and Alex Boniface, 31st and 32nd. And as we just saw there in qualifying, Dennis Koller unable to get a lap on the board, enough to put him amongst the cats and pigeons and all sorts in his class. So, rolling start gets underway here, Ed. A full lap of this long circuit. But it's not going to feel like a very long race for these guys, because they're not going to do many laps here, are they? Because it's around 2 minutes a lap. They've got half an hour. I think we'll get 16 laps, although, to be fair, with pit stops, it probably will be the 15 laps, won't it?
Yeah, I think it's around about 2:04, so it might be 15:14. I'll imagine it'd be probably close to, like you say, to that 15. It's just one of those races where the drivers do need to be really on it. There's so many opportunities to overtake that they can't just throw moves up willy-nilly and have desperation. They need to sort of craft them carefully and really try and throw them off, because, well, it's a circuit where you can overtake. You can also quite easily defend a lot of these corners with the inside line in towards turn 1. You also get the inside line for the following corner as well. Same with actually down the hill, which we're coming to now. If you hold the inside through turn 3, technically I think they call it turn 4, don't they? Because of this weird right-hand bend we've got.
Yeah, this sort
on
of
this back straight.
Is
I always call it turn 3.
Yeah, I call it turn 3. That's not a corner, that.
Yeah.
That's not a corner. That's a back straight.
Yeah, you then get the inside for the next corner coming up underneath the bridge. So difficult when you're trying to overtake. If you're forced to the outside line, you just need to be brave and carry the momentum more than anything else.
You absolutely do. You've got to have your wits about you when you're racing in a pack as competitive as this as well. Got the 131 machine in the middle of the field there. That's Jeffrey Darman. Very, very pretty looking Porsche. The red and black livery. Not sure if he's in the Premier class, actually, because of his race number starting with a 1. But I've put him in the Evo class for now. We've had him previously on the grid, and I'm pretty sure he was in the Evo class, so we'll have to get that confirmed. But I think, based on his number being triple digits and starting with a 1, he should be in the Premier class. Still, we'll keep him as is for now and see how he gets on. It's Marcel Breitenbach that leads the Premier class. He's alongside Jean Breitenbach. Lovely to see this very interesting livery on the Audi and the Porsche side by side. We don't often see them together on the circuit, really, do we, Ed?
No, we don't. It is, like you say, very interesting to see the pair of them there, and it's a good way to see how the liveries work on either car when they are side by side. I do like the sort of little yellow trim they have around the sort of radiator, the air intakes at the front of the car, and then also a little bit more yellow on the rear end of the Porsche in comparison to the Audi, which does look a little bit barren at the back. But again, it's very, very nice, isn't it? All of the two liveries you've got side by side. I have to say, like, favourite livery out on the grid is the one that we're just following now, Sean McLuhan.
Yeah.
His home race. That's some spectacular spec map usage he's got going on.
Yeah, lovely, lovely bit of kit on John McLuhan's car. The two RDSA Porsches on the front row are going to be hard to beat here, though. Tristan Dinabrega and Luke Lucchese. We've seen them work together before. We've seen them work against each other before. So I'm intrigued to see how they play this one, because it's a sprint race round tonight, where we'll have a top portion of the grid anyway, reversed
12,
for race 2. Yep, top 12. So that 12th place overall in this race is going to be all important, and there's a few Premier drivers that could get that, and they could be clear of their class rivals very, very easily. Matt Hoyland gets the Lamborghini on the second row of the grid, but it's the RDSA front row lockout once again, and they are absolutely glued to each other. I think they'll go as soon as they get to the top of the hill. Either that or they're going to wait for quite a while. I think they do tend to go on green, don't they? From what we've seen before.
Yeah.
Let's see, shall we? From Luke Lucchese.
Get the call for green. And then they're going to go now. Look, there we go. They're kicked into life. Luke Lucchese gets the race underway, and already tucking in behind to get the slipstream in towards turn 1 is teammate and rival Dinabrega.
Great stuff. Side by side for third position as well. Ryan Otton's on the inside line, and then it's Hoyland on the outside. Anybody having a drama? It looks like Jeffrey Darman has been off the road in the background, maybe just running a little bit wide already on the exit of turn 1. Alex Boniface is around. Seems like everybody's kept it tidy. Archie Craven still has the lead in the Evo class, but it is all very tidy through the first couple of corners. Great stuff.
Yeah, battle of the break and backs. Marcel losing out to Jean. Obviously slightly coordinated, because obviously Jean is in the elite class, is now in towards turn 3, really trying to make use of the wider line. We can see Stephen Donnelly and Joe Sparrow battling away underneath the Corvette bridge at the inside. James Bostock battling away with Joe Glass. Now Joe will get the inside line for the following right-hander, and then just basically slams the door shut in his face. But now any opportunities for moves up the inside. Look at this, down the inside, one of the JSD Racing Team cars. That's Joe Sparrow. He's not mucking about, is he? Already gaining 2 places, almost gaining a third on next to, but having to decide to be a little bit more cautious in this opening phase of the race. He's already actually gotten ahead of his teammate Stephen Donnelly, who's actually dropped back a little bit.
Yeah, so many position changes already, but everybody inside the top 8 is as they were. Luke Lucchese leads the race. Tristan Dinabrega next up, then Ryan Ottens, then Matt Hoyland. Scott Kostrick is off the road. Oh, big hit for Ashley Brooks as well. Ashley in the Corvette. Oh, it just digs in and then turns left into Danny Weir. Oh, Danny's in the barrier. That is a huge, huge shame. Ashley gets back underway, but I think the initial off was Scott Kostrick. Let's see how he does it. Does he have to back out of this here? And then because of the adjustment on the brakes, the car just over-rotates. Oh no, he bounces off the side of Donnelly. Tries to find a gap, and then Ashley's going to come flying in here. You can see him spinning there. And then look, he goes across, and then it just grips, and he goes left into Danny Weir. And then again into Scott Kostrick. Nothing really Ash could do once the car was out of control. He was just a passenger from that moment on. Let's see it from Ash's point of view. Oh, he's caught the grass. Oh, has he been hit? I think he's been clipped, you know. I think Ash got a tap through there. I don't think the car behind expected him to slow down that much. Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
That was the 41 of Joseph Preston. He only just misses Kostrick the first time, but then the second time, yeah, it's a big old mess that for Ashley Brooks. He's had absolutely zero luck this season. Many, many incidents. Not always his fault either. Just always in the dramas.
Yeah, we do sometimes see drivers that don't seem to get any of the luck. They can become incident magnets just through no fault of their own, which is a shame, but of course, that's just the way racing goes sometimes. There are always going to be accidents and incidents, and sometimes you are just going to be the one involved in them. Rob Mackay has had a little bit of an excursion off the circuit, gets back up and running now. See how all of that happened. Was there maybe a little bit of contact going side by side under the Corvette bridge? It's an area of the circuit that does tighten up quite a lot. He's got one of the Alpha 1 cars, is that Radloff, I think, behind him? No, actually, I think he just has a moment all by himself, Rob Mackay.
Yeah, I think James Howarth, okay, so Howarth goes off in avoidance. Whoa, they were all so close to him there. That was very, very close indeed. Good stuff that, though, in terms of the recovery by Rob Mackay. He got the car out of the way, then went across the circuit when it was safe. We just saw Joe Glass fighting with Peter Black a moment ago in the Ford Mustang. Martin Kenyon has dropped down drastically in the Lamborghini. He has had a drama somewhere and has been, in the pits. Although it says he's only been in the pits for 3 seconds, strangely. No, he genuinely did come in. Yeah, genuinely did come in and pit, and Archie Craven's doing the same. He's responding. Wow, this early. They can pit whenever they want.
Yeah.
But this is very early, and they risk getting into traffic by pitting this early. Where is Martin Kenyon now? Well, actually, you know what? He's 25 seconds behind Rob Mackay and half a minute ahead of Ashley Brooks, so shut up, Chaz, basically. What do I know?
I think, didn't we see Martin Kenyon do this at Imola as well, where it came in quite early? Oh no, it was actually the other way around. We saw actually Craven come in early, didn't we?
But he got held up with a load of traffic and a load of issues, so he didn't benefit from it. Archie
Craven's already gotten rolling. Yeah, this is going to be tight in towards turn 1. Archie Craven might have the position, but the speed is going to be with Martin Kenyon. Look at him barreling now in towards turn 1. He won't be able to close enough. And now it's basically just going to be a dogfight because the pair of them have got no one around them to worry about but each other.
They just need to be really careful to not lose time in the long run if they do start fighting in their own little bubble. We look here at Nick Stubb. He's 3rd in the Premier class at the moment, trying to hold off Joe Shapara, Atti Nagel and Stephen Donnelly, while also fighting with Peter Black in the Mustang, but he's in the elite class ahead of these guys, so not really someone that they want to fight with for position. You can hear them on and off the throttle around the carousel. So easy to overdo it through there in a GT3 car. Now means that Gareth Newton has the lead in the Evo class for the time being. But look at the championship leader, Joe Shapara here. He's in a golden position. He's in a golden car, side by side towards Canada Corner. Stubb holds the inside line, but if Shapara can keep the speed around the outside, he's all golden, quite literally, golden bear, but no, nothing this time round. Atti Nagel still between the 2 JSD Racing Team cars as well. Great defensive drive so far from Nick Stubb. We've seen him pull off some brilliant defensive drives before. They've all got Hussein Sarakadezo in the Lamborghini just behind as well, as he watches the Porsche Cup evolve in front of him. It's actually still an Audi leading the Premier class, Marcel Breitenbach. This is a lovely sound and a lovely view from Hussein Sarakadezo's Lamborghini.
Yeah, really wonderful cacophony of noise as we see Hussein. Speed, but it looks a little bit unsteady, doesn't it, at the rear end, and a little bit unsteady actually just up ahead as a huge cloud of dust gets kicked up by Stephen Donnelly. This is going to be a good little tussle, isn't it, in the midst of the Premier class fight. All the while we come to Jean McLuhan on his home race, repping the Star Spangled Banner. Currently got Luke King for company though. Needs to be careful to not worry too much about him in behind and can try and focus on maybe gaining up to Matt Hoyland up ahead. Not too much action in the elite class as it seems so far, Chaz. They've kind of calmed down a little bit, stayed where they qualified, but good start to those actually for Jean Breitenbach, who's been able to gain 3 places since the start of the race. Same with Paul Cowlishaw, who we're following. He's gained 3. Joe Glass behind him has actually gained 5, but the biggest mover, following a not great qualifying session, is actually Dennis Collar. He's up 9 places, keeping himself out of trouble, while also having a good race himself. He's got Rob Mackay behind him, and he's got Joseph Preston just up ahead. And actually, looking at the last lap, Dennis Collar has got the pace to get ahead of all of these cars up ahead of him. Yeah,
he's almost a second quicker than the majority of them there, so he's really on it. He is 3rd in the championship as well in the Evo class, so he's no slouches, Dennis. He was having a fantastic start to the season. Dropped off a little bit in the midpoint, but he's hoping to recover that. We're looking at Marcel Breitenbach here. He's chasing down Jean, but he has Paul Cowlishaw behind him. Now, Paul is in the elite class, and Marcel is in the Premier class. Marcel will not gain anything by finishing in front of him or finishing behind him. It will make no difference if he gives this position up. But I think just out of principle at the moment, he doesn't want to give it away.
Also for his teammate as well.
Yes.
I think it's a case of basically being that rear gunner, being the Bottas, to sort of keep him in behind and give his teammate a little bit more breathing space, while they can both then try and set their sights on maybe a little bit more if they can catch up to Luke King, who is, to be fair, about 1.5 seconds up the road. You can see him there, just at the front. Oh, the picture coming in towards turn number 3. Onto the brakes. Paul Cowlishaw does close up, but I think Paul realises that it's not worth getting into a fight and slowing down, at least not at this relatively early stage of the race. We're already actually nearly a third of the way through this first race. As battle between Kenyon and Craven. Kenyon did set the fastest lap in his class last time around, gaining a roughly nearly 0.5 of a second. Actually, that's a very impressive time by Martin. Closer and closer to Archie as the lap goes by.
Yeah, indeed. He's starting to close up. You can see him in the background there. But they've got Christopher Radloff for company now. Christopher, the first of the elite drivers to pit during this race. Now, can he spoil the party? Or, well, it's not whether he can. It's whether when he goes through, if he causes any problems for them. Because he was struggling with the car earlier on. Seemed like he just wasn't able to get the pace out of it. Not sure whether he's just short on practice or what. But we'll see, because Christopher obviously being in the elite class, the highest class in the field, against the Evo drivers on paper would be flying by. However, we've seen just how quick the likes of Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon are at the top of this Evo class, and I mean they've been well inside the top 10 outright, so I don't think there's anything to be sniffed at there. Race leaders, Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinabrega, both doing a great job yet again at the front of the order here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Hats off again to the championship sponsors, Medius, GitGud Racing, Keenan Eco Energy, Kame and AB Designs. Thank you all for your support, not just of the series, but of what we do here at Chaz Draycott Media as well. A third of the race down though, Ed. It's been quite a tame one actually so far. Not too much going on. A few drivers taking early pit stops to try and clear the air, but doesn't seem like there's much indication of how good that'll be just yet.
Yeah, like you're saying, it has been a lot more tame than what I think we were anticipating, at least coming into racing here at Road America. But I think, like you mentioned, they're going to maybe calm it down. Then after that final pit stop, they're really going to just go hell for leather. We do also tend to see that the first race of the evening is a bit more cautious, because they know that it can set the pace for the second race if you find yourself maybe being in that top 12 and then having a mistake, having a battle and dropping out of it. You basically lose out, not just on that occasion, but also for the second race. So maybe that's the reason why we've seen at least the sort of top third of the grid calm it down, while the majority of the action's been in sort of those lower 2/3. Probably change around though as the evening draws on. Drivers, I think, are acutely aware of the state of the championship, where it is at the moment, and that there aren't many rounds left, aren't many points to be scored. So every little position will count. This is Jeffrey Darman. And through. Oh, just around it. It seemed to get settled on the curb, actually. That's very strange to see a Porsche out like that.
Yeah, we don't normally see it sort of bounce off curbs like that. It normally eats them up and doesn't get phased at all, but yeah, definitely that time. The car was not happy with its surroundings and what it was being put through. But we look back at Marcel Breitenbach leading the way in Premier. Jean McLuhan has come into the pits, and look, so too does Paul Cowlishaw in the Suma GP2 Lamborghini. I love the pit entry at Road America. It's absolutely terrifying. There's a bit of a hop, skip and a jump there for Paul over that grass verge on the right. Peter Black in the background as well, somehow fits the Mustang in the pit lane. And then we've got a few more in. Joe Spara, Hussein Saraka Desler, Stephen Donnelly, Evo class leader Gareth Newton on his way in, Joseph Preston also. A lot of these guys just getting near the halfway point and deciding to fill up with fuel from there. Archie Craven has a 1.7 second lead over Martin Kenyon at the moment. So he's still comfortable-ish at the front of this class. But the two of them are going to very easily inherit the lead of the class again now. Everyone else ahead of them is pitting. Actually, no, they're not. Owen Seward's carried on. Do apologise. He's gained 18 spots now as a result, but obviously not all completely on merit. there'll be a bit of shuffling around, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. There's a few drivers that have made stops in Premier, only 3 actually in the Elite class, and then the majority of the Evo class has pitted. Now there's a car between Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon. It's Paul Cowlishaw. I don't think he's going to really spoil the party in any way for these guys, but Archie will want him to come through, if he does, in the cleanest and most, well, the least disturbing manner possible, I think. The one that really upsets the rhythm the least.
Yeah, we'll see. It's just this way the race has been developing. It has been, I think, not like you mentioned, it's not like what we've been expecting. Then we wonder at what point things will start to change. Paul Cowlishaw right up there in this fight between Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon. And for all of his pace, he has been gaining, but again, as soon as he gains, he gets a little bit of traffic. Was that a bit of a moment for Archie Craven, actually? He seems to have lost quite a huge chunk of time, and now, actually, look at Martin Kenyon. He's closed right up that gap now, just over 1 second.
Yeah, it's all change here. It's all in as well at the front of the pack. The drivers have got to the halfway point of the race. They're about to hit 15 minutes to go. And it's time to pit if you're in the Elite class, it seems. Luke Lucchese in. Don't think any of these guys will be taking tyres. It's only an hour-long race. The tyres will do much longer than that. It's all just splash and dash in terms of the fuel. Obviously, there's still a bit of an art form to getting your pit stop right in these things. You have to make sure that you stop on the mark and don't overdo it. Up through the revs, and on the exit of the pit lane goes Luke Lucchese. Straight in formation, it's Dina Brager in second place, Otten's third, and then Hoyland and everybody else making their way out of the pit lane as well. What about the Breitenbachs? Are they still together? They are. Jean and Marcel. Now, where is Cowlishaw in comparison to these boys? He's actually lost out as well. Craven, I think, hits the back of him, and that's going to slow him down in front of Martin Kenyon. That was very, very scary there. So the Evo class lead very much still under attack with 14 minutes left of this race to go. James Bostock and Christopher Radloff side by side into turn 2 also. James got a bit of a wobble on there. That's a kiss from Chris. Christopher Radloff, 8 places gained from where he qualified. Hasn't had the car underneath him so far. Owen Seward is just on his way out of the pits, but Luke Lucchese, well, this is flying formation for him at the moment, Ed. Doing a great job at the front of the order yet again.
Really, really good stuff. Really great stuff. And to be fair as well, for it being the late stage of the championship, we have been expecting maybe a few more accidents, haven't we? Maybe into this stage of the season where obviously the drivers are going a bit more aggressive. But for now, by and large, the whole field have kept it relatively clean. And I worry, Chaz, actually, now I've said that, what we might see in the in the second race of the evening. Because if people aren't familiar, I do have quite a hefty curse to the commentators, so I think I'll stop saying any more and just, hope for a nice clean evening.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. But now we've got Joe Glass only half a second ahead of Paul Cowlishaw. Paul having a little bit of a blink in and out here and there in the Lamborghini. You've noticed a few times that he's disappeared off screen and then reappeared. It's not been that bad. Nick Stubb and Joe Spara still absolutely stuck to each other. Joe hoping to get by Nick. He's been trying for lap after lap now in the Porsche. And knowing that he's fighting against the same car on the same setup as well, it's quite difficult, isn't it, really, Ed, when you're on fixed setups, because you know exactly what the other guy's got underneath them and where the car is strong and where it's not. So you can't really do a lot about it other than just try and outdrive them.
Yeah, here we go. This could be a real opportunity, because the big mistake by Nick Stubb into that final corner has really just hurt him all the way now down this start-finish straight. And he's not going to cover the inside. I think he knows the writing's on the wall. After a mistake like that, just defending the inside is not going to be helpful whatsoever. So Joe Spara now with the pace to get alongside, maybe not quite ahead. The bravery around the outside is great from Nick, but then on the exit, just can't quite stay with him. And I think this is going to be the move. Secured, yes it is, by Joe Spara. Lovely bit of racecraft there just to see the mistake and go for it. But actually, look at the little fight back by Nick. He's got a great exit all the way down sort of the back straight. It's not really at the back of the circuit. The second straight now in towards his left-hander. hard on the brakes, though. You can just see how good and calm Josh Bauer is. And now I think he's properly secured position for himself. Currently up into fourth. Needs to find maybe about 4 seconds if he wants to get onto the podium. Does have a very impressive, actually, podium strike rate, doesn't he, Josh Bauer?
Definitely.
Oh, it's percentages. Is it about 80% on the
yeah,
podium?
Yeah, there's only like 2 or 3 races where he's not been on the podium this season. Absolutely on fire and leading the championship by, I think, over 100 points as well. He's got a considerable margin as Joe. It's been great to see it. He had a tough time in previous seasons. I think we remember him first being in the Mercedes, then he was in the BMW. Now he's making the most of this Porsche 911 992 GT3R through the little kink to the right, flying down towards Canada corner. Love that shot through there. And he's starting to open up a little bit of a gap there over Nick Stubb, but Nick not doing a bad job at all. Marcel Breitenbach's doing a great job in the Premier class. If we show you the overall standings, look at the drivers with the yellow stripe next to their name. He's got 3 elite drivers and 2 Evo drivers between himself and this man, James Bostock, who's currently second in class. Ati Nagel just behind him, less than a second back. Another RDSA esports driver, but in his very distinct privateer livery. But he's currently on for a podium. He was one of the absolute stars at the very beginning of the season, but everyone sort of caught up a little bit to his pace. But it's a lovely mixed field yet again here, Ed, and there's still battles aplenty as Spar and Stubb are back together.
Ryan Stubb close together. Craven and Kenyon as well, right up there, going at it by the looks of things. You can see now Kenyon has really closed that gap to Craven. Pair of them actually on that last lap. Was it Kenyon? Yes, he did. He gained 7/10 of a second, so the pace is really with Martin at this moment in time. He's going to force the defensive manoeuvre from the Audi, going for that later apex, getting a great exit, but he's not going to be able to get up the inside under the bridge. Really piling the pressure on, though. Archie's going to have a really strong defensive drive to hold off. All the while, you can see looming in the background is that Ford Mustang of Peter Black. Ooh, flipping heck, you get on board and you just suddenly get deafened. It's a wonderful sound.
I didn't realise it was that loud, sorry.
also, actually just noticed as well on the dashboard they've got a little Ford Oval logo.
Yeah,
that shows the gear that the car's in. I didn't realise that.
I think that's really cool. Ooh, Peter Black overdoes it slightly. Very high revving V8 in the Mustang. Big old barge. He's really pushing it about, isn't he? Absolutely lobbing that thing around the circuit. Following on with this Evo class battle as they try and decide who's going to take top honours there. Back to this though, Marcel Breitenbach in front of Joe Glass, and it's really the 2 cars behind him that are effectively battling one another. Marcel just needs to be careful that it doesn't cost him the lead in class if anything should happen. It's Paul Cowlishaw trying to get 8th place in class from Joe. They remain very close down the start-finish straight once again, and it looks like, Nick Stubb is off the road. I was going to say Nick Stubb was really closing in on Joe Spara, but he's just overdone it around the final corner and lost a bit of momentum there.
We saw him struggle on that corner the last lap as well, which was what caused him to lose out to Joe. Seems like that's a really tricky one for him. It's so hard because you don't really have any proper particular braking marker for that area of the circuit. There's no sort of distinct, at least for me, there's no distinct area apart from like maybe a few small marks on the circuit where you can use to pinpoint your braking zone. And when you're coming up over the hill, you've got a corner coming right up after you. It's so difficult to spot your marks every single time. That could just be a case of what's happened there. Deep breaths, everyone. We are into the final 7.5 minutes. Marcel Breitenbach leads the way in the Premier class and has quite a considerable lead over James Bostock, several cars between himself and second in the Premier class, so he can afford to let these 2 elite class drivers through. Could also actually help him out a touch because he'll have a better grid position for the second race of the evening without really losing anything at all.
Yeah, indeed. Just looking at lap times for our race leaders compared to these guys, just to see what the difference is. And it's 204.0s for our race leaders. 204.0 and 204.4. These guys are doing sort of high 204s, low 205s. So there's quite a variation. As look, Marcel makes it very clear he's moving out of the way. That's really good of him.
Stuff.
Yeah, really good. Really good, that is. And to be fair, it's actually worked out in Paul Cowlishaw's favour in the Lamborghini. He's closed in a little bit on Joe Glass. I think Joe was sort of second guessing it. Decided to get out of that one.
Here we go, and behind as well, Craven and Kenyon. It's all about getting the exit absolutely nailed here from Martin if he's to want to hope to get ahead of Archie next time around. Same, of course, with Cowlishaw. Look at that Lamborghini really hunkering down. He's been forced to go to the outside line. Kenyon doesn't seem to be close enough to make any moves, so he'll stick to this one. Cowlishaw around the outside of Joe Glass. Really careful not to make contact, as again he's forced to go around the outside. If he can hold it here, he'll get the inside for turn 3, and that's going to be a really important place to be. Look at the exit speed he gets actually by carrying that momentum around the outside. He might find himself actually ahead into the zone where they start to slam on the anchors. Look at this in behind as well. Marcel Breitenbach, after giving up the position, actually finds himself losing out time and time again because they're going to be battling, slowing each other down. But now Cowlishaw, he tried hard to make it stick, and he's finally got it done. Slinging it around the outside in turns 1 and 2 to then finally get the inside. A little look at the inside, but that's a half look. There's no real sense of commitment there. And it was very lucky Joe Glass didn't actually collect Cowlishaw there, because I don't think there was any way he'd be able to properly make that move stick.
I think it just straight lined on the brakes, didn't it? Car seemed to really straighten up, and he was wide of the apex. He won't have been pleased with that. This is the lead battle in the Evo class then. Archie Craven in the Audi, putting in a fantastic stint at the start of the race. He's had to deal with a bit of traffic though, and he's lost a bit here and there. Oh, Kenyon runs wide. Sounds fantastic, but it's not going to give him the best run on the exit of the carousel. I think he just tried to carry a little bit too much pace there. You can sometimes square the corner off a little bit, but it's very easy to overdo it, run wide, and then you just don't end up getting a better run. These two are about 15 seconds ahead of the rest of the Evo class. It's just remarkable the consistency and pace that these guys have unlocked at the midpoint of the season.
Hamilton and Rosberg, yes, when they were competing with one another, they seemed to elevate each other to a higher level, and they'd be a good sort of half a lap ahead of anywhere else, and it seems to be the case here as Martin Kenyon needs to really nail this exit, which I think he has done. He's right up behind now, just 0.2 of a second as they come over the crest, and we know that that Lamborghini is very impressive in a straight line. The Audi is no slouch either, but Kenyon with that slipstream is going to be hungry to make the move stick. Now look at this, going all the way around the outside. He's getting a bit of a squeeze on though on the way into the corner, and now look how close he is. Is he going to try it up the inside through turn 2? That was a little bit cheeky from Archie though, just closing the door off a touch. He was sort of on the line, not over it, so it's fair for Archie. Didn't cause contact, made clear that gap was always going to close on the outside, and Martin decided still got a little bit more time to go in the race for him to try and make this move stick. Credit as well actually for Peter Black and Chase and Packing behind for not trying to insert themselves into this fight. They can see that this is for a very important championship position in the Evo class, and they don't really seem to want to get involved.
Yeah, this is the thing. You don't always want to... Oh, has Martin had a slowdown or something?
I think he's letting him through. Maybe he's thinking that he can use Peter Black to his advantage, because he looked like he actually just tried to let him through. Didn't seem like a slowdown.
I'm intrigued by that one. Very intrigued.
Never mind, he's going back through, so maybe it was a slowdown.
Oh, that was a big moment for Rob Mackay. Takes a cone or two out, never mind. Oh, that's not a nice place to be. I know he was still, but that was not a nice place to be. Peter Black is, technically under pressure now from Martin Kenyon, so I'm not quite sure if Martin's made the right decision there. Decided to let him through all of a sudden when Peter wasn't really putting the pressure on. And look, it's almost like he's stuck behind him instantly. That's a big moment of regret, I think, and now he's lost a bit of time.
Really bad as well for the second race, because look at who is going to be getting the reverse grid and look who isn't.
Yeah, he's
Martin
just given
Kenyon,
up.
13th. He's just given that reverse grid pole position.
Oh, that's devastating. I think that might be why he suddenly turned it back on again. He's just realised, hasn't he, that that's what's just been given away. We've got James Bostock and Ati Nagel right behind them as well. These guys second and third in the Premier class, wanting to get with Marcel Breitenbach a bit further up the order. Not able to do it just yet. Audi's leading in Premier and Evo, which is great to see. Porsche still 1, 2, 3 in the elite class. But these guys They're just waiting for something to happen in front. Peter Black could potentially be a key to unlock the door here for Martin Kenyon, but I don't know. That Mustang looks mighty big compared to the Audi, doesn't it? Flipping out. It's amazing, but I'm not sure that Peter will do it in a way that will slow Archie down that much, you know. And I don't think Archie will let him have it easy. If he does, Archie knows this game by now. Back on board with the powerhouse that is the Mustang. I don't think I ever turned the cameras down on this. I think that's why it's so loud. But I don't mind. I don't think anyone will. But it's a great bit of racing this with multiple classes involved. We've got a Premier driver up the road. Then it's Evo, Elite, Evo, Premier. So no 2 drivers consecutive in class here except for Bostock and Nagel at the back of this one. We're only going to have one more lap to go here though, Ed. 40 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
That second half of the race has flown by.
It really has. Luke Lucchese is going to be able to make it over the line to start yet one more lap of racing here. Apparently, going to be up to 14 laps, and then this will be his 14th lap completed. Then we'll see it to 15. So it was 14, just making it to that 15 lap marker. Into the pits is Jeffrey Darman for his second time.
Oh, Danny Weir and Ashley Brooks have both just been off the circuit. They've had a little drama down here at turn 3. Oh, Danny going left then right. Tries it round the outside. Danny's gone a little bit hot into there. And then, oh, they're glued together on the exit. Oh, man. That was devastating. We saw a lot of that the other night in the GT4s that we broadcast, didn't we, Ed? Where the cars were just sticking to each other corner after corner. And it seems to be rife at the moment on iRacing.
Yeah, just a little innocuous contact, but that seems to be all it takes, unfortunately, for those incidents to occur. Peter Black now really trying to put the pressure on Archie Craven. Maybe this extra lap could be Martin Kenyon's saving grace if Peter Black is able to get ahead, but with a little bit of a mistake coming out. You can see the dust getting kicked up on the exit of turn 2 by that big beefy Ford. I don't think he's going to be able to get through on the Audi. So Archie Craven could see himself securing a very important step forward in the championship. He came into this race meeting in behind Martin. Could find himself either level or just ahead.
Ashley Brooks has had one more issue and his race is now over, I'm afraid. Not quite sure what's been the problem. Into Canada corner. Oh, oh my, what on earth was that? What was that, iRacing? I need to see that again. I cannot believe that. He hits the end of the pit wall, the tyre wall, which does often cause huge damage. I've tapped a wall like that before on iRacing and it's written an engine off, but that is absolutely, I mean, I don't want to be dramatic and say unforgivable. That's just not right. I don't think I've ever seen a car exit a tyre barrier with more speed than it came in. No, I mean, I can try, but I can't, yeah. Luke Lucchese wins. He takes the race victory in round 14 ahead of Tristan Dinnebrega. Great stuff by the RDSA boys once again. Ryan Otten's in 3rd position. Another podium for him. And looking further back, we've got Hoyland and King, and then McLuhan, Jean Breitenbach, Paul Cowlishaw. But what about Marcel Breitenbach? He's going to take the victory in the Premier class. He does it by some margin as well. And Archie Craven is going to hold on to the victory in the Evo class in that race. Great stuff from him. Really entertaining from him and Martin Kenyon. Kenyon in 2nd place. 2nd in the Premier class was Bostock. 3rd was Ati Nagel. And a great race had by all there, I think. Who's going to be 3rd in the Evo class? It's Dennis Koller. What a great drive that is, Ed. He's gained a bunch of places there. 11 spots. Up to 3rd in class. Really good drive. Very impressive there from Dennis. A very, very strong drive to see him come out with a very strong podium as well, isn't it? All the way from the back of the grid. 11 places. It just shows that it's not necessarily about where you qualify. It's just about where you finish. And for Dennis, that is a very, very strong result. Probably one of his best drives we've seen since, I think, maybe the season opener at Fuji, where he had that amazing drive through in the wet. Yeah, he did, yeah. He was absolutely untouchable in the wet conditions there. It was amazing. We look here at Rob Mackay, just about to cross the line. 10th in class for him in Premier. He won't be too pleased with that. At a few moments where he lost it, the DXT Magenta cars of Danny Weir and Alex Boniface just completing the field. Alex will be the last car to cross the line. Love the look of these machines though. Great looking race cars. The DXT livery is always very tasty. But with Alex completing the race, that completes our result for round 14 of the championship, and we'll take a look at the elite result first. Eventually, when it comes up, because it's just changed session, so bear with it. There you go. Luke Lucchese takes the win, 3.1 seconds to Tristan Dinabrega, and then Ryan Ottens gets another podium for his troubles. Matt Hoyland was next up, ahead of Luke King, with Jean McLuhan in 6th, ahead of Jean Breitenbach, Paul Cowlishaw, Joe Glass, and Peter Black, with Christopher Radloff 3 laps down and not completing the race. And over to Ed with the Premier class.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yeah, the Premier class saw Marcel Breitenbach finish on top ahead of the rest of the pack with quite a sizable margin in the end over James Bostock. Atti Nagel finishing in 3rd, strong podium for more championship points in his pursuit of the man that he's just finished ahead of. Joe Sparrow leads the championship, continues to lead actually, even after finishing in 4th ahead of Nick Stoop, Hussein Sarkar-Desler, Stephen Donnelly in 7th, Matthew Jones 8th, John Ludbrook 9th, Rob Mackay finishing 1 minute down, Scott Kostrick 14 laps down. Don't think he scores points for that, unfortunately, on lap 1.
And then we look over to the Evo class, and it was Archie Craven taking another victory from Martin Kenyon, just 2.3 seconds between those pair. Dennis Collar doing a great job to get 3rd place after starting right at the back of the grid, and then Gareth Newton in 4th with Joseph Preston in 5th. James Howarth in 6th place ahead of Owen Seward and Danny Weir. Alex Boniface was the car that just completed the field that we saw a moment ago. Jeffrey Darman not having a great time of that race, and Ashley Brooks being absolutely sent flying by the barriers just a moment ago. Well, if you bear with us, everybody, we've only got one car out on the circuit at the moment. It's Paul Cowlishaw. Ed and I are just going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're just going to get a drink and so on, and we'll be right back with you for the next race in the championship here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Thank you very much to Paul Cowlishaw for providing us with some entertainment during this very quiet warm-up session. Just 5 minutes between the two races, and we'll have the top 12 on the grid reversed for this next race of the night. It's all important, though, in the Evo class, because it means that Archie Craven is going to be starting on the front row. Martin Kenyon is not. He's going to be down in 13th place on the grid, so there's going to be a few cars between those guys. And, of course, our Race 1 winner, Luke Lucchese, is going to start from 12th on the grid. Tristan Dinabrega is going to be joining him on that 6th row. But a pretty tame first race, to be fair, Ed. Only a few little incidents here and there, but not the drama we were expecting. It was very clean, actually, from the drivers.
Yeah, everyone seemed to be on their best behaviour, which was good to see. Obviously, we hope for more of that, but we wouldn't mind maybe a bit more action. I think it's fair to say that first one was more drivers being a bit more measured. They often are in the first race, but we know what happens in the second, don't we, Chaz? They do tend to get a little bit more punchy, a little bit more racy as drivers are just coming to the end of their warm-up. Paul Cowlishaw, thank you very much for the entertainment, the hot laps you were giving us. See if that will pay off, of course, into the race, that little extra practice. Everyone else, of course, instead of having extra practice, has extra rests. They should be more refreshed as well. Interesting, though, won't it, to see what Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinabrega can do from 12th and 11th, respectively.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing what they've got up their sleeves for this one. As the cars make their way to the grid now, you can see the grid forming. They will be ready to go in just a second's time, but we'll show you the grid before we get to it. Peter Black in the Mustang on pole position, with Archie Craven alongside him in the Audi. One driver from each class in the top 3, that's cool. Marcel Breitenbach next up, ahead of Joe Glass, with Paul Cowlishaw and John Breitenbach on row 3. Then it's Jean McLuhan and Luke King. Matt Hoyland and Ryan Ottens complete the top 10. And then it's Tristan Dinabrega and Luke Lucchese. Just thinking about it, Marcel Breitenbach is on to an absolute winner here because he's 3rd on the grid. He gave up those places earlier, and he is now miles ahead of the next Premier Class driver. Again, Martin Kenyon starts 13th. James Bostock will be 14th, with Ati Nagel and Joe Spira side by side on row 8. Then it's Nick Stubb and Hussein Saraka Desla. Stephen Donnelly and Matthew Jones complete the top 20. We then have John Ludbrook alongside Dennis Collar, with Gareth Newton and Joseph Preston complete in the 12th row. James Howarth and Owen Seward are next up, with Rob Mackay 27th, Danny Weir 28th, Alex Boniface 29th, with Jeffrey Darman completing the 30. Then it's Ashley Brooks, Christopher Radloff and Scott Kostrick, all having a bit of a torrid time in that first race. They'll definitely want more from this one, Ed, as the field now gets rolling, with, very fittingly, a Mustang at the very front here in the latest American round of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful to see, isn't it? That Mustang roar into action, into life, as we get this second race of the evening underway. For now, we do have to wait just a while. It's going to be a long lap around here. It's 2 minutes under racing pace, but obviously we're not at all under racing pace because we're basically crawling around the circuit behind the safety cars. But I think it's going to be one of those, it's a long lap for us, but it's going to be even longer for Martin Kenyon because he's going to have to really rue his mistake from basically letting Peter Black through.
Yeah, I think he was the right thing to do at the time in terms of, thinking about the battle with Archie Craven, but then remembering that obviously you've got then the top 12 on the grid being reversed. He is going to kick himself for that one a little bit, I think. He's not going to be too pleased that he's done that. But we'll have to see how he can recover from there. We've seen Martin pull off some fantastic drives before. We know that he's got it in him. But it's not easy in a field like this. I mean, the class of the field, Ed, it just gets better and better all the time, doesn't it, in this series?
It really does. It has gotten even stronger. And it was already pretty strong, wasn't it? Last time we saw it at the first round at Interlagos, we thought, what have we gotten ourselves in for? Because it was a really impressive grid that we were sort of thrown into. Difficult to get accustomed to all of those names, but it was so great, wasn't it? And so it's just gotten stronger and stronger, season on season, race on race. I think we have a championship that's in a very good position for the future. Of course, Peter Black, we're hoping that the future of his race will be golden all the way. Actually, Craven, he can afford to give up positions, but then also has to worry potentially about them holding him up and slowing him down as they pass him to let Martin Kenyon back into the race. Going to be one of those days, I think, where it's tricky to call in terms of strategy. Is Martin Kenyon going to do what he did in that first race, come in early, all while Archie Craven can't afford to do that because where he finds himself out towards the front, who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think some of these drivers have to make a lot of decisions with who they let through and who they don't, whether they let anybody through at all, because the pace has been so close between so many of the drivers. It's hard for them to sort of assume, or at least, get an idea of what the difference in pace is, whether it is a good idea to let them by or not, because you're trying to calculate so much in the heat of the moment. That's why it's always interesting with our endurance races as well, and they're trying to do the fuel numbers on the fly while driving without race engineers telling them what to do. There is a lot of talent involved in sim racing, and in a championship as busy as this, it's great to see them really having to exercise that and use their brains for every single moment of a race like this. But it's a great front row though, the Mustang and the Audi. Peter Black and Archie Craven, two of the least popular cars on the grid, side by side, and another Audi right behind them in the form of Marcel Breitenbach as well. You've got to love it. It's a great looking car is the Audi. It's such a shame that it's a bit more of a pig to drive than the others. But still, we head into the final corner now, and this is going to be round number 15 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship here from Road America. Safety car pulls in, Peter Black very close to the back of it, and as they head up the hill, he's going to get ready to get on the gas and crack on for the second race of the evening. Sounds like someone's starting from the pit lane in the background, but we'll come to that a little bit later, because now it is go time. And as they cross the line and get down the start-finish straight, Peter Black leads them with the two Audis side by side. Craven does not get the best getaway, and he's under pressure from Joe Glass, who actually is second in the elite class going into turn one. Is everybody behaved further back? No, they're not. There's a bit of contact there. John McLuhan gets held up, and one of the Alpha 1 Esports cars has to take evasive action. Lucchese's been held up. Dinner Brager was in the middle of that as well. There's a few cars there nearly coming to contact. Nick Stubb went in a straight line. Has a bit of a wiggle on the exit as well. By the look of it, though, everybody else keeps it nice and tidy, Ed.
Great start for Dinner Brager, not so good for Luke Lucchese. He loses out to to Martin Kenyon, actually. Martin Kenyon getting the jump on both Luke Lucchese and Ryan Ottens. John McLuhan dropping back, like you said, as well. Now Martin Kenyon battling off with Ryan Ottens. You can see the two of them going side by side. Needs to be careful here, and I think Ryan is going to get that move sealed, which he does. And of course aware that he's battling with some of the fastest drivers in the championship. Not obviously lying down for him, but and I think refs being acutely aware of basically drivers that are around him and what their ambitions will be compared to his. So he drops back now in behind Archie Craven, dropping back behind Joe Glass. That's fine. He's still got quite a bit of a margin to Mike Kenyon. Big crash off the road there. Drivers need to be careful. Thankfully, John is not going to come across the circuit, gets out of harm's way, sharpish, but that is a very scary area to have an accident just coming out of the carousel.
The speed of the cars going through as well. Great stuff by Jean to get that car out of the way so quickly. He did what he could do in that moment, but he just clipped the grass that tiny bit on the exit. And the thing is, Archie went wide, and it's so easy when you're the driver behind to follow on from that as well. And just it gets that tiny bit. The thing is, you'd rather the car go a lot onto the grass than a tiny bit. Because if
it was a smaller mistake with a bigger impact.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's just the tiniest little bit. Compared to what Archie gets, that's not far enough back, I'm so sorry. But you'll see, Archie gets like all four wheels off on the grass. We'll slow it down for you so you can see what we're talking about in a little bit more detail. But look, Archie just starts to run wide there. But look, Archie's got all four wheels over the curb. Jean's only barely got the left-hand wheels on that left-hand side, and it just upsets it that much. And that's a big old hit into the wall. And to be fair, everybody behind doing a great job to not make contact with that Porsche. But that's a real shame for Jean, because he went so well in the earlier race. Ashley Brooks and Jeffrey Darman both having a miserable evening. And it is carried on here. This is Ash in the Corvette. Is there going to be a bit of a check-up in front? Oh, he's managed to... Oh, he finds a gap. I think it was more out of evasion than anything, and then Darman's had an off as a result in the background.
It sounds like Ashley gets contact himself, actually, that sends him into the spin potentially. We'll have a look and see, but it was a little bit of a tricky situation to find himself in. He hasn't got anyone behind at all, so I don't know why the car suddenly just goes around as if he gets contact.
He just bounces off the side of Darman.
Well, he has a twitch beforehand, which is what makes me think there was, but it was just the car was unsettled, it seemed, and then so comes off Darman. Peter Black leading the way. Because Joe Glass has got a lot of pace. We were worried we were going to see a flashback to what we saw earlier, wasn't it, with the Porsche of Jean Breitenbach. Seems to be All right, for a moment, into the pits actually has come Martin Kenyon. Sees himself right the way down towards the tail end of the field, but it's what he likes to do. Decides, I don't want to be involved in any of these fights, so I'm going to lose time letting all these quick cars through. I'm just going to be by myself. Bit of a Billy Lomet situation for Martin, but to be fair, you don't need mates, you don't need friends when you're looking to win your class. You need to just do what you can and do the best strategy calls for yourself. At the moment, though, Archie Craven is quite comfortable and actually coming into the pits realises what Martin's done. Besides, I've already got a big margin to Martin. I think he was about 4 seconds ahead. So he decides, I'm just going to use that. I'm not going to worry about where I finish overall. I'm just going to come in now because the person I need to cover off is Martin.
Yeah, definitely. He's decided to respond. Heads down the pit lane. And right now, it's all hanging in the balance. Obviously a late pit lane, or a late pit box I should say, for them because they started high up in the order. But another pretty tidy race so far. We've got quite a busy pit lane at this present moment. There's Archie just about to get going now. You can hear him on the revs, waiting for it to release him. He gets going. One of the Alpha 1 cars going past. That is going to be Ryan Ottens going through. And there is Martin Kenyon in the background. And that's a considerably smaller gap than it was before, I'd argue, because it's currently showing at 2.2 seconds. So Martin has made that work. That one lap made quite a difference. But he's still got to continue to chip away at that, as has Joe Glass with this race lead. A big shout out to Joe and his wonderful broadcasting on the Monday nights of the Evolution Sim Racing TCR Championship. Joe's a great member of the community, not just racing in the series, but broadcasting as well. And
I have to say, actually, I do get a little bit jealous sometimes of not racing in those. They do look like a lot of fun.
Oh, they're pigs. Trust me. But no, it is great fun racing in the TCR. Actually, I've only just realised it's a bit of a flip reverse. There's big send down the inside by Joe Glass. That was a fantastic send. Great respect by Peter Black to move that housing estate out of the way and still give him the room, but he says, no, you're not coming through. I'm going to hold on to this position. Defiant as ever. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic from Peter. Yeah, he remembers it's a housing estate now and it doesn't go around corners. Marcel Breitenbach into the pits in the Audi from the lead of the Premier class. Very well done to him so far, keeping it tidy. Like I said before, he's way ahead of these guys. Bostock, Sparrow, Sarah Kadesla, all these guys. Sean McLuhan just in front of them in that gorgeous Stars and Stripes Porsche. Luke Lucchese, fastest lap of the race. He's got a bit of clear air actually as Luke right now, so this is his chance to really get the hammer down.
Definitely, he has lost time in those opening few laps to Matt Hoyland, Paul Cowlishaw and Tristan Tinnebrega up ahead of him. Like you say, now he has clear track, he can really focus on trying to catch up. There's a big train, isn't there, actually, of cars all the way back from Peter Black to Matt Hoyland, which I think is going to help out because you can see these two battling. Peter Black, Joe Glass continuing to scrap. Peter Black, the driver of the Mustang, really just happened to wrangle that big beast around while also keeping Joe behind. That was a big send, wasn't it, from Joe? Fair play to Peter. Gave cars width, but didn't want to give any more than what was necessary. Really chucking it through to the Casey. You could just see the attitude of the car coming through that quick left-right. Really just trying to put the hammer down and catch up to him. More purple sectors coming through for him as Christopher Radloff. They have a moment in towards turn one.
It's the final corner, this one.
Sorry. Ooh.
Whoa! It's just noises. That was a really wild ride, that, for Radloff. Suddenly the car went, you know what, I'm not done having an accident yet. And James Howard says, that was fun, mate. Let me just check that you're all right through the window. Give you a quick look. Yeah, he's all right. Wow. Lively stuff. Great chase going on here, though, for the front of the pack. If we go on board with Matt Hoyland, he's not quite on it. Sorry, Matt. We're going to go forward one. Paul Cowlishaw in fifth can see the top quartet in this race, and I think some of them are going to choose to pit. Well, that's the last car I expected to pit. Peter Black into the pit lane. I thought that it was going to be one of the cars behind, thinking, we're getting held up here. But no, he says, nah, stuff yous. You're not having my slipstream. I'm going to go straight in.
This could be really smart because he sees that he was getting held up, but he knows that Dino Brager is quicker than Glass, so all of a sudden when Glass and Dino Brega start battling, when he has the clear track, that's going to give himself the best chance of coming out on top, basically blinking before the others do. Basically, it might have been a situation as well, actually, with Joe Glass thinking, do whatever the car in front doesn't do.
Don't respond.
If that pays off. Yeah, basically, just if you see the car ahead come through, because this has helped out Joe great. He's just wanting to get clear space, but this is even better for Dino Brega, because how was Dino Brega got? I was going to say, how was Dino Brega got on that stop? The answer is he didn't. He sadly ran a little bit too deep into the corner. Joe Glass, I think, realised that it was going to be a very tricky ask for Dino Brega to make that move stick from back there. All the while, this is benefiting Luke Lucchese with yet another fastest lap of the race.
This is how it looked from Joe Glass's point of view. You can see Dino Brega moving around. Joe goes all the way over to the right. Dino Brega goes flying on by. Goodbye, sunshine. And then manages to recover. And to be fair, they got away with the fact there was no contact there. It was very, very lively. But that gives Joe Glass a bit of an advantage now for a lap or so. We're getting to about a third's race distance. The Lamborghinis following on from the Porsches. I'm just always expecting the Lamborghinis to crash because I know what the Audi felt like. And the Lambo, to me, always looks like a heavy car. I don't know what it is. The Porsche looks really light and spindly, but the Lambo looks really chunky and hunkered down. But it looks like it weighs about 3 tons and that it just takes a lot to really shift it. So it's always going to oversteer. I don't know if it's the same for everybody else, but I don't know. It's the monster truck-like wheels on it because it's got really chunky-looking tyres. So, I don't know. Great looking and great sounding car. Hoyland says, yeah, stuff that. Into the pits I go. Is James Bostock going to do the same from the Premier Class lead? No, but it may be Joe Shapara is. No, I thought Joe was potentially moving to the right. Atti Nagel is coming in. What about the Evo Class lead? Yeah, Gareth Newton into the pits in the Lamborghini as well. Is Danny Weir going to follow? No. Danny continues on and inherits the Evo Class lead. But it's still Joe Glass at the very front. He's got Tristan Dino Brega next up and Luke King behind him. And then Paul Cowlishaw in the Lamborghini. Luke Lucchese did the fastest lap of the race last time round, Ed, from 5th. Certainly turning it on now, isn't he? He's opening the taps.
He certainly is. And I'm just keeping my eye on the provisional, well, not quite at the moment Evo Class lead, but what we'll expect to be the Evo Class lead between Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon. They do have a Marcel Breitenbach splitting the pair of them, but looking at the pace, Martin Kenyon definitely has, again, the edge over Archie. But like we saw last race, just that pace advantage wasn't quite able to be converted into an overtake. Archie Craven was very strong in his defence and could be a key turning point of the race later on. Luke Lucchese with great pace to really just lap on lap, fastest lap upon fastest lap, catch up to the pack up ahead, nearly within the slipstream range of Paul Cowlishaw. And you can see, I think, what his main target for the race victory is going to be Tristan Dino Brega. The two of them, while they are teammates, we know that there isn't team orders at RDSA Esports. They've collided enough times before in the future, in the past, for
they will in the future and all
to know that acutely. I think, which is great for us. Obviously, they also, I think, it's a friendly sort of team situation. It's not like they get official disciplinaries for it. They just sort of have a laugh and then carry on to the next one.
Yeah, they call each other a 4-letter word and then drive on.
Yeah.
Joe Glass at the moment, he still leads, but I tell you what, Tristan has managed to reel him in very, very closely. And, well, Joe says, you know what, I'm not even fighting that battle. I'm going to go into the pits, run my own race here. Paul Cowlishaw pops and spits the Lamborghini into the pits, and there's quite the party of them heading in here as they just make their way over the hill. You'll see the cars coming through on the right-hand side, carrying on. Next up is going to be James Bostock, then Nick Stubb. John Ludbrook also carrying on. You can see just the absolute gaggle of cars heading up over the hill. We've currently got 6 on their way down towards us here on this camera angle. 7 now with Danny Weir in the Porsche. That on the right-hand side is Joseph Preston going through. He now inherits the Evo Class lead for a couple of laps, maybe even just the one, because by the time he comes back around, it'll be almost the halfway point of this race. Well, it's close for the lead, though, still, actually, Ed. Tristan Dino Brega is only half a second ahead of Luke King. Luke is going to be trying his damnedest to slow him down, put him off, do whatever he can, because it's all about the bigger picture.
Yeah, it is. And I think the situation we know with a lot of the drivers is that they are thinking, of course, not just about the here and now. They are focusing on where they'll find themselves. Even though, like you say, it's the business end of the season, they still want to think about what's to come. Not just taking it a case of the now or never. Luke King, Tristan Dinabrega leading this race for the time being. Luke actually doing a great job to stick up with the RDSA esports drivers. It's a case of obviously Luke being one of those Alpha 1 esports drivers that has been able to take the fight to RDSA, because as of, well, at least our time in the comments box, Chaz, it has been mainly RDSA dominating the proceedings over the course of the season, at least in the elite class.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, the rest of the field is just difficult to call every time, but most of the time we do often know it's going to be an RDSA car on that top step.
Yeah, they've been pretty amazing, haven't they? Sometimes the second races of the day, based on some drama and chaos somewhere, has thrown up a surprise result. But yeah, these guys have been very dominant in our time commentating on the series. We're right on board now with Paul Cowlishaw, who's got a few of them in front actually. Matt Hoyland, Ryan Ottens, and then Luke Lucchese in the RDSA car. Joe Glass has actually got 1.3 seconds over the rest of them as the top two now come in. Tristan Dinabrega and Luke King. James Bostock, Nick Stubb and John Ludbrook all join them. Joseph Preston, I'm sure, will pit this lap too. And in he comes in the JSD Racing Team Porsche. He carries the blue highlights and rear bumper on the car, whereas Donnelly carries the red and Spara carries green. Joe Glass has had a fantastic run actually. He's done really well here to open up a gap over the cars behind. But then again, it'll be Dinabrega that we need to keep an eye on, and he's already moving. I think he might have jumped Joe here, to be honest with you. And look at that, Luke King right with him as well. Where is Joe in all of this? Don't think he's through. No, he's not. He's sat behind these two. So they've jumped him in the pits, but Joe is still in front of the likes of Luke Lucchese, Ryan Ottens, Matt Hoyland as well, with 14 minutes left to go. Well, we've got the top 7 cars separated by 3.5 seconds. Top 6, 2.3 seconds. Brilliant.
Wonderful stuff. Look at this long train of cars, isn't it? All the way through to just about Archie Craven. It was all Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon still sticking together. Archie last lap was actually able to build an advantage over on Martin Kenyon. As actually, I think Martin has just been able to get ahead of Marcel Breitenbach. Wasn't he between the pair of them earlier?
Let me have a look. No, not recently.
Not? Oh, okay.
Actually, here is a move. Martin getting past Marcel. I think he's had a slowdown or something. Yeah. That's the only reason.
Given Martin a great chance, though, isn't it, to now just have himself and Archie. And I don't think he's going to make that same mistake that he did last time. It's just going to make sure it's him and Archie battling it out with no other third parties between them. There's a big twitch there. Yeah. Look at the pace now. Martin, is he going to try and make an overtake? Oh, please don't. This is going to be tight as anything.
Don't do it, Martin.
He's going to go for it.
Don't do it, Martin. He didn't need to do it. And now, look, Marcel Breitenbach says, go on then. I'll get in on this as well. Oh, they've all somehow made it through, but they've all had to check up. This is the thing. You don't want to cause any other drivers to have to slow down like that. Marcel goes late on the brakes. Sean McLuhan is the only elite class driver in this. Somehow Marcel Breitenbach has got alongside Martin Kenyon here. He says, look, watch this, Martin. I'm going to put my nose down the inside into a corner where it's not wanted now. And Martin runs wide. He's now on the inside line. He's still in front of Marcel somehow. The Audi nearly goes into the back of him. Think he did make contact. And now Joe Spar is involved with John McLuhan. This is nuts. But all that happened because Martin kept his nose down the inside there. Not saying necessarily it was a bad thing, but just it wasn't necessary, I don't think. He didn't need to do it because look at Archie Craven now. Oh, goodness me.
Archie does have the gap, but I think if these cars battling behind, Martin Kenyon should be able to have a bit more comfortable breathing space and can focus on Archie up ahead. It's only 1.2 seconds, the gap. Damage has been done, but it is not the be-all and end-all, as that could be the end of John McLuhan's race as he gets hit once at the front, and then I think also, did he get into the back of the car ahead and then get collected?
I think he first bounced. Time. I think the only contact was he hit the car in front of him. I think there was a bit of a check-up there, and unfortunately, as is iRacing's latest damage model, he's the one that comes off worst, which is a real shame. Not saying that I'd prefer it to be the other way, and I'm not saying I wanted the car in front to spin, but it would be a lot more realistic if it was the car in front that sort of bore the brunt of it, as we've always had in the past. But no, Some very jazzy liveries here. Look at this lot. Scott Kostrick in that thing. John McLuhan in the Stars and Stripes. Rob Mackay in the massive shark-mouthed DXT car. And then John Breitenbach in that fantastic barbecue bread racing livery. It's like the 4 art cars all together on circuit at once. You've got to love that. Look at that.
Hang it in the Louvre. That's a really, really lovely...
Hang it in the loo.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful little array of Porsches we have here. Mackay.
I'm all excited by that. It's dead cool.
It's really, really pretty. Yeah, it's very, very pretty. It's from Mackay with a little bit of a mistake through the carousel. As there's a bigger mistake through Canada corner. Seen Matt Hoyland face first into the barrier. The wheel track stories.
Whoa.
Nick Stubb.
Well, he stubbed it into the wall there. What on earth?
Oof.
I think Matt Hoyland, by the look of it, I can't scroll up because there's so much going on. Gareth Newton has just gone through and it keeps changing everything. I think Matt Hoyland's gone off in avoidance here. Oh, Peter Black was going for a bit of a shindig on the grass. I think Hoyland's gone left here to avoid something.
Ooh,
yeah,
far too late on the brakes.
Yeah, I saw the tyre tracks and I thought, it's the way it hops up in the air. Has Nick Stubb done the same? That's James Bostock in front of him. Side by side. Oh, James just comes over that little bit. Oh, I don't think he meant to. The car just sort of floated left on the brakes, didn't it? Caused a big old mess.
Tried to obviously squeeze him wide, so it basically widened up the corner as much as possible for himself as well. But yeah, that's unfortunate.
The car just sort of came over, didn't it?
Battle on though between Hussein Sarakadesla and Ati Nagel, looking one way and the other. Hussein trying to brave it around the outside. Will be able to really open up the corner through here. Oh, a little bit of touching and barging as they get into the braking zone. Hussein really opening up the corner, but can't quite hook up that late apex. Really nicely positioned car by Nagel. But look at this, Hussein so brave and punchy on the brakes, gets the move made anyway.
Great move, absolutely great move. Great respect from Ati Nagel as well. Really solid stuff, but that was a fantastic move by Hussein Sarakadesla. Love that. That was inch perfect. That slid that Lamborghini down the inside. Let's have a look at it from the chopper cam here. I hate how it does that on the brakes. I'm really sorry, everyone. Just look at how close he got to the side of the Porsche. It just floated on by. Thank you very much.
Love it. Great move.
Tasty stuff. As Martin Kenyon and Archie Craven are going at it, and Kenyon's in the wall. Has he got damage? Is he able to carry on? The two were going side by side just a moment ago.
I think he's done it again. I think he's tried to put his nose down the inside.
Oh, that could be suspension damage as well. That whole sort of right hand side of the car completely punched in.
He's making his intentions clear, look. Down the inside. Whoa, into the carousel. Joe Shapara's just had a drama as well. We'll come back to that. Oh, don't tell me Archie goes into the back of him. I'm holding my breath. Archie's out of it. No, Martin's done it himself.
Self-inflicted.
Oh, wow, that's brave by Marcel and all. What was that? That was brave as you like. Joe Shapara flashing the lights almost to say come back in, and then I think he's going to have a drama here on the exit, is he? He had a spin somewhere. Oh, no. Is he going to bounce off the back of the Audi? I think he's flashing the lights at Marcel. He is. And now... Oh. That was... Oh, dearie me. That's a big old hit for Joe. That's going to be race ending, that is. But I think that was just...
Yeah.
That was a lot of impatience, that, from Joe.
Big for the championship as well, actually.
Yeah.
For Joe. That is not pretty. His teammate is actually going to get a bit of a hefty advantage as well on the points. Is he? Where is Stephen Donnelly? He's currently in 7th, so maybe not quite as many points, but still, it's not at all in the script for Joe, is it, to have a moment like that? Martin Kenyon still behind Archie Craven.
I know, he's only like 1.2 seconds back. How is he that close?
Still a bit balmy, if I'm honest, and he's sticking with him, to be fair, on pace. We'll see, of course, the extent of the damage if we can go on board with Martin. That car does not look... I don't know, it doesn't look like a pretty sight, does it? It's through the corner. He's able to steer it all right. Is it a little bit of left hand down, or is that straight enough?
I think it's a tiny bit of right hand down, if anything. I think it's only a tiny, tiny bit. I don't think the car's that badly done in, you know. I think he only scraped it, but like you say, that could very easily have been suspension damage because it was a side-on impact into the wall. and could have very easily written it off. Stephen Donnelly looking down the inside of Matthew Jones. Nothing going this time round. He's got Scott Kostrick and then John McLuhan behind them. Porsches everywhere in this part of the field. There's a massive train of them. We were just looking at the battle a moment ago between Rob Mackay, Danny Weir and James Howarth and Gareth Newton. They're all having a good scrap, but at the front it's a 1-2 again for RDSA Esports. It was the other way round in the earlier race, but Tristan Dinnebrega and Luke Lucchese have gained 10 places each so far in this one, and they continue to lead the way. Luke King in third position. It was Luke's teammate Ryan Ottens that finished third earlier on, so he's flying the flag this time round. Christopher Radloff, their teammate, has just come into the pits. He's having a torrid time tonight. Here's Christopher, unfortunately. As James Bostock fights with his teammate Hussein Sarah Kadesla. They're second and third in the Premier class, wanting to get past Martin Kenyon, I imagine, who definitely doesn't want them to get by.
No, not many drivers do really want to let anyone by if they can help it. I can see, of course, that Archie's just up the road. James Bostock and Hussein Sarah Kadesla, these two are fighting for second in the Premier class. They've got Ati Nagel hunting down a podium as well. It's all just a case of biding their time. We are into the final 5 minutes, so time is something that's in, well, very short supply. We come to the end of the evening in terms of the racing. Tristan Dinnebrega and Luke Lucchese. Here we go, Chaz, as well. This could be a battle on for the lead of the race in the elite class. Look at the pair of them going at it.
Smells like Villeneuve and Pironi, this does. Tristan Dinnebrega trying his very hardest to defend from Luke. Luke, the man with the pace in qualifying by about 0.4 of a second earlier on in the night. But again, we love this from RDSA with no team orders. Two of them up the hill with 4 minutes left on the clock, so we should have... Oh, is this going to be close to 2 laps to go? Oh, I think we're going to get... I don't know. I think we're going to get 3 laps. They cross the line with 4 minutes 10 to go, and it's about 2 minutes 4 a lap. They could cross it very close.
If these two battle and slow each other down, when we were looking at some of the lap times when cars were battling, it comes to around about 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So as long as these two keep up good turn of pace, we might see, like you mentioned, 3 laps. It could be close. Could be cutting it very fine. But at this moment in time, it is just these two able to fight for the lead of the race. Dinnebrega and Lucchese. Come, of course, to this wonderful battle, isn't it, in the Premier class, all behind Martin Kenyon. Martin, I think the damage has really arrested his pace. He can't catch up, he can't match what Archie Craven's doing with that clear track space. Of course, Martin could afford to give up some of those positions, but if something should happen to Archie up ahead, he wouldn't be in a great position to take advantage, so he has to try and keep James and Hussein at bay.
Yeah, these guys are now sort of really having to assess every single move they make. We've got John Ludbrook here side by side with Stephen Donnelly. Oh, he really doesn't want him to have the space into the corner there. John McLuhan and Scott Kostrick right together as they come through the left-hander as well. John Brayton back just off the back of these guys too. So many drivers in different classes all over each other here. There's a really big mix. If you look at 17th place, Dennis Collar just in front of the car we're looking at. He's in the Evo class, then it's Elite, then it's Premier, then it's Elite again. And then ahead of them is a bunch of Premier drivers, and there's a car off the road, which is Martin Kenyon. Ati Nagel is going to come through, and that is going to really hurt Martin's run. That is a big old shame, because that has almost sealed the deal. So, 2 minutes 15 on the clock. I think we're going to get not just one more lap, I think we're going to get 2. Let's have a look. 7, 6, 5 as they cross the line. Oh, they're going to be cutting it fine here. And look how close together they are. This is great stuff. Don't do it. Luke, don't do it. Stephen Donnelly's off. Stephen Donnelly's off the road and back on again. Manages to recover as he's got Scott Kostrick trying to make a move now, but we need to go to this. Oh no, they've done it! No. They've done it! Their teammates have come together, and Dinnerbrega's in the wall, and Luke King's going to go through. The King reaches the throne, and Luke Lucchese is going to, well, I don't know if he's going to feel like an idiot or not, but he's going to feel a bit annoyed at that. What on earth, boys? What on earth? Was it Dinnerbrega running wide? Is it the glue? The glue we speak of when the cars get stuck together? Did Luke turn in on him, or did Abrega run wide? Oh, there's netcode.
Netcode.
Tristan was on the curb. Tristan was on the curb on the right-hand side. There was nowhere else he could have gone. Well, time for a debrief, boys. Goodness me, but it's Luke King that leads the race.
Going to be another one of those 4-letter debriefs between the pair of them. They'll dust each other down and then get back on it next week. But it's what we love, isn't it? We love to see them battling. We hate to have team orders between the pair of them. It's just a natural thing that will happen. Even if they weren't teammates, when you're racing that close out in front, that's just part and parcel of what happens. Little incidents and accidents can occur in motorsport as... Oof. Yes. What did we say earlier, Chaz? We mentioned it, both of us, that no team orders, they do collide together, and we almost sort of predicted that they would have contact in the future. We weren't maybe expecting it to be this soon.
No. And to be fair, because of the time that's now been lost because of that, we're not going to get an extra lap. Or are we? 10 seconds. Oh, Luke King.
It's going to be close.
He's going to cross the line. And it's going to be...
a white flag.
I can't see a checkered one, though. Is it? One more lap. There's one more lap. Luke King still leads the race. Luke Lucchese, second place, having to hold on ahead of Ryan Ottens once more. As look at that round the outside. Otten says, go on then, have a bit of that. Side by side round turn one. There could be an Alpha 1 Esports 1-2 on the cards here. Joe Glass wants a podium as well. I'm not sure what damage Luke Lucchese's got. I don't think he would have got much from that.
Front right.
Yeah, I don't think he would have got much. He'll get some from that. There was a tap on the exit wheel-to-wheel contact. Somehow Luke keeps it together. Where is Joe Glass in this? Paul Cowlishaw trying to come on this as well. Oh, my goodness me. Drama right at the end. Look at that housing block in the background there. That's nice, isn't it? Marcel Breitenbach leading still in the Premier class. Wow. This is... yeah. Balmy. Archie Craven still leading in the Evo class. That's all I can tell you. All I can tell you at the moment.
Yeah, I had a little intermission there to look at some horses. Saw the Mustang
out
and about. Peter Black.
In it. Oh, God, stuff. Chaz, come on.
Oh, gosh, Chaz.
I'm so common, aren't I? Jesus.
Disgraceful. Now, there we go. Luke King. What a great race that has been. We were saying, one of the few drivers that's been able to properly take the fight to RDSA. Maybe not quite expecting it to occur this way, of the two RDSA drivers actually fighting themselves and coming to blows. But, well, like you said, the old King is dead. Long live Luke King, who is just a few corners away from tasting victory here in the second race of the evening.
Yeah, he's now slowing it down in his Canada corner. Ryan Otten's in second position as well, as there is a battle, actually, as Joe Glass wants a podium, and he's going to get it from Luke Lucchese, who's got damage. He's off. Paul Cowlishaw goes through. Luke is going to be out of the race by the look of it. Big drama indeed. And it's going to be Luke King who rounds the final corner to take the race victory in round 15 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship from his teammate Ryan Ottens. It's a 1-2 for Alpha 1 Esports. Joe Glass gets a podium as well. Brilliant. Why, man? Fantastic job. Marcel Breitenbach is going to take 2 wins out of 2 tonight in the Premier Division. What a great drive from him as well, Ed. Really untouchable.
Wonderful stuff. A wonderful drive all across the board for so many drivers, but this has been a little bit calm and collected, but still brilliant driving all up and down. Archie Craven coming through for his second race victory of the night, making it 2 from 2. Martin Kenyon did definitely limit the damage by finishing second in both of those races, but it just makes it all the more exciting and close in that Evo Class 4 top honours. That pair have just been class of the field. Dennis Collar yet again coming through for another podium. Basically, the podiums in the Evo Class for race 1 and 2 identical.
Yeah, indeed.
Doesn't tell you the whole story though, does it, of any of what's been going on tonight?
Oh, absolutely not, no. But that was a very, very entertaining second race. So much going on. Drivers all over the place in many classes. I mean, the mixture in the end, especially from sort of 10th downwards, you just never knew how it was going to go. But it's a 1-2 for Alpha 1 Esports. Luke King takes the win over Ryan Ottens. We'll have a look at how the results panned out in the end. Luke King wins, with Ryan Ottens in second place. Joe Glass gets a podium as well. Very well done to him, with Paul Cowlishaw and Peter Black getting a top 5 in the Mustang. Jean McLuhan was next up, ahead of Jean Breitenbach, with Christopher Radloff, the last car on the lead lap. Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinnebrega classed 1 lap down, with Matt Hoyland classed 5 laps down. Over to Ed now with the Premier class.
Thank you very much. And it is Marcel Breitenbach who finishes in top of the pile in the Premier class, ahead of James Bostock. Hussein Sarkadesla coming through for a very strong podium, gaining 10 places over the course of the race for a very, very impressive result. Ashley Nagel finishing in 4th, ahead of Matthew Jones. John Ludbrook there in 6th. Then it's Scott Kostrick. Great drive from him, actually, coming back from starting at last. Gets come up into the 7th place. It was 17 positions he gained, actually the most out of anybody in the field. Next up with, well, a stub-nosed Porsche at the end of the race following that incident into Canada Corner, finishing in 8th place ahead of Stephen Donnelly, Rob Mackay rounding out the top 10, and Josh Barra in 11th.
Thanks very much, Ed. Now we'll look over at the Evo class. Archie Craven taking 2 wins on the night, Martin Kenyon taking 2 second places on the night, and Dennis Collar taking 2 third places on the night. Gareth Newton was next up in 4th, with James Howarth completing the top 5, ahead of the likes of Danny Weir, Ashley Brooks, Jeffrey Darman. They both finished the second race, so turned it around. Owen Seward in 9th, Joseph Preston 10th, Alex Boniface not completing the race. So, we'll rewind proceedings, and we'll have a look at who we've got to chat to in the box. And I tell you what, I really want to have a chat with Marcel Breitenbach, because 2 race wins on the bounce tonight in class. Marcel, you must be over the moon, mate. Great night for you.
Yeah, it was a good evening. I must say, I really enjoyed it. The car felt very good. I cannot complain about anything. And it was a good race. The second one was like insane. First class, Evo and Premier class, first and second together the whole time. Yeah, that was good.
Absolutely, and this circuit really lends itself to close racing because of the slipstream, doesn't it, around here in these cars? So it kept everybody together in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so. But I must say, it feels as if the Audi is a little bit better on this track. That's the thing. It has a little bit more speed, I think, and the braking is good. So yes, that lends itself to a little bit more dicing of the Porsches, definitely.
And obviously we hope that there's a bit more of that in future, because there's not many Audis on the grid, is there? It's lovely to see it at least going well. You must be quite proud of being the sort of flag bearer for the car with Archie.
Yeah, yes, and Archie did very well as well, eh? So yes, it felt very good, but I must say next year definitely something different. You know, you get, or not next year, sorry, next season. But so we'll probably try out that new McLaren and see how that goes.
Indeed. Certainly always an exciting prospect to have a new GT3 car on the horizon. And obviously, speaking of the horizon, we next go to Hockenheim for an hour-long race. Final one of the season, dry to wet conditions. Are you excited for that?
I do not even have the track. So.
Wow. It's one of those, is it?
I have to go and practice a lot, I must say. But yes, we'll approach it like I did this time, which is do it for fun, and then it works out a lot better.
Definitely. Always go into it with a positive mindset, Marcel, and we know that you and John do that in droves, so it's great to see it. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go tonight?
Archie, definitely. I must say, I was impressed. So, good driving.
Smashing stuff. Great to speak to you as always, Marcel. Thank you very much, mate, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff. Marcel Breitenbach, very enthusiastic character there, Ed. But again, I repeat myself, it's lovely to see the Audi going well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a car that is certainly not one of the more favoured ones. I think, like we said, there's only 2 of them out there, of Marcel and Archie. We'd hopefully like to see a few more than just the Porsches that we have as well. We've got a couple Lamborghinis, only 1 Ford and 1 Corvette, but fingers crossed in the next build, the next iteration of this series, we'll see a little bit more variation.
Definitely. We certainly look forward to that, and we look forward to speaking to this man. I did say why I man at the end of that, and it's very, very apparent that he's going to be saying the same. Joe Glass, podium for you tonight, Joe, outright, after leading the race for quite a while. A busy old night in the Porsche for you.
It was, mate. It was. Race 1 feels like a long time ago, but that race 2 was very entertaining. First time I've gone wheel to wheel with Tristan for any sort of race lead or podium, and then got a little move done on him and reaped the rewards at the end there when they came together.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to be in it to win it. And at the end of the day, you guys were all very, very close at the front of the field for a long, long time. There's a lot of pressure involved in an environment like that, isn't there, because of the quality of the grid?
Absolutely, and it's always the same with the reverse grids. You know, if you get into that top 12, I finished in P9, so I knew who I had in front of me, but I also knew who was going to be steaming in behind at some point. And I saw them, they all got there, but I was just glad to hang on, to be honest. I would have been happy with the P5. I thought Paul had the pace to take me, which I thought he might have done, which he did in the first race. And then I was just sticking on the back of Otton's lap after lap, and then, you know, as I say, you right place, right time. And then I was able to, I saw Luke had damage coming through the final lap a little bit from that earlier incident, and then I got the run through the trees, and I thought, well, it's now or never, so I put a move on, and I think he just kind of peeled off the track and stopped, to be honest, but I was glad to get alongside, and then, yeah, finishing my joint best finish of the season.
Smashing stuff. Well, it's certainly gone well for you tonight, mate, and obviously we have only a few rounds left to go for this season, but the next one is at Hockenheim, going from dry to wet conditions for an hour-long race. How do you feel about going there?
Well, frankly, I've never done a lap, so I wasn't too confident going around here either, because I didn't get too much chance to practice, and we've had a good result, so I won't speak too soon, but Portimao is, I'll be much happier there.
Fair play. Well, we look forward to seeing how you managed to get on at Hockenheim. Joe, thanks very much for joining us, mate, and we'll see you again soon.
Likewise. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers. Joe Glass, of course, commentating and broadcasting the Evolution Sim Racing TCR Championship on Monday nights. But yeah, he had a solid run there, Ed, and like we said, in it to win it. You've got to be around the drama to capitalise on it.
Yeah, and he really was just in that perfect position to really come out on top. But they say if you don't buy a ticket, you ain't going to win the raffle. And it was wonderful to see Joe coming through with I think it was, like he said, his best result in the championship. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And it's great, isn't it, to have those storylines come through.
Definitely is. It's always good to see the difference in results that you get over the course of a night, and I think that's maybe a touchy subject for this man, Matt Hoyland, who we just dragged into the box. But Matt, the Lambo looked pretty good round here tonight. I didn't expect it to be as potent as it was, but it looked like almost the car to be in.
Yeah, it were pretty good on the whole part. The only time I really struggled was after the pit stop on race 1. I don't know if I pushed a little bit too much on first stint and took a bit too much out of tyres, but when that weight went back in, it wasn't too happy. But I'm so disappointed with myself in race 2. It was such a non-mistake that took me out of it as well. But one of them things, at least Joe got a good result out of it. That's good to see for the team.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, stuff like that happens so quickly, doesn't it? It can literally be a couple of meters later than normal on the brakes, or just a small misjudgment here and there. You're only human at the end of the day, aren't you? It's part and parcel of racing.
Well, this is it. I mean, I think in reality, like if there wasn't a car in front of me, I may have run a bit deep, missed apex. But having Ryan so close in front, my choices were either hit him and take someone else out of race, or try and dodge him. But unfortunately, as we know, as soon as you hit that grass, which then becomes gravel, really, you've got to be extremely lucky to keep it out of the wall. And I found out there's a little jump just before the wall as well, which doesn't help matters when you're trying to slow down. It went for a little bunny hop, but yeah, just one of them things. I'm not disappointed with the pace. The pace was a lot better than expected. To be able to get P4 in first race is huge. So I'm very pleased I can take a positive away from this stuff.
Well, that's what it's all about, mate. It's good to see that you're taking the positives from it, and obviously not long left in the season now. How would you sort of reflect on your season so far in the Lambo and how it's been?
I think it's been pretty hit and miss. I think it's clear that the Porsche is still the car to be with. I was hoping that it was going to be consistently competitive, where it seems to be more of a sporadic thing with the Lambo. Some races you just can't really get that much out of it, but then you'll turn up the next week and it's on it. But I think I can be pretty happy. The pace has been better than expected. Obviously, jumping up from Premier last season, to be honest, I was expecting to run round at the back of Elite, and it's been nice to actually be able to get him up there in top 5 occasionally. So, but I think change of car maybe in order next season. But then obviously we've got the McLaren 720 to come as well, which throws another spanner in the works, which I'm sure a lot of people will be testing. But yeah, there's some testing to be done, but we'll see what happens.
Well, either way, Matt, we look forward to it here on Chaz Draycott Media. Is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks to before you go?
Yeah, just as I'll do the usual, shout out to the DXT guys. Obviously, we all get some preps in together, and also Glass Tech. Again, huge congratulations to Joe on his result. I know there's a little bit of drama at the end, which I was spectating nice when I was in the pits, but you've got to be there at the end to get that podium, and he drove extremely well. So congrats to Joe. Yeah, otherwise that's about it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Matt, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in a week's time at Hockenheim.
Thanks, guys. Thanks again.
Well, there we go. Matt Hoyland really getting the most out of the Lamborghini this season, Ed. And like we said, not always an easy car to get performance out of, but it's come on strong. It's definitely come on strong, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a car that we've seen. Some drivers have been able to get good results out of it. It's not like a horrible car to drive, but it's nowhere near as strong as the Porsches, which have been just so dominant over the course of this season. And also, I think in general in GT3s, they are the car to be in. But it is, like I say, good to see him up there, and also great to see all of the action that we had here tonight. It does mean, of course, that is it the next round at Hockenheim Ring. It's going to be important for some drivers' championships. Could be make or break.
Absolutely could be, and we hope that you will join us there in a week's time. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you very much to the championship sponsors, Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs. Thanks to all the drivers. Thanks to everyone for watching, and of course the series organisers as well for having us here at Chaz Draycott Media. But that's all from us in the commentary box here at Road America for rounds 14 and 15 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Lucchese takes the win in race 1 with his teammate behind him, but neither of them on the podium after contact in race 2. Big drama there, and Craven takes the momentum in the Evo class. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, and we'll see you in a week. 4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look, and a terrific show out. Ben Gregory now, I love this. 18.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGudRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.